We'll call this regular city council meeting to order on November 18th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Roll call, please.
Mr. Bateman?
Present.
Mr. Sanders?
Present.
Mrs. McCullen?
Present.
Mr. Parrott?
Present.
Mr. Downs?
Present.
Mrs. Ross?
Present.
Mrs. O'Donoghue?
Present.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first up this evening's public participation. Is there anybody who'd like to speak under public participation? Okay, for the record, there is no public participation this evening. We will start with the consent agenda. This evening, it consists of 5A, payment of bills, 5B, approval of minutes, October 29th, 2024, Committee of the Whole meeting, November 4th, 2024, regular city council meeting, and 5C, request from the Logan County Tourism Bureau to permit the closing of various city streets for Lincoln's annual Christmas parade on Thursday, December 5th, 2024, from 5:30 p.m. until 8 p.m.
So moved.
Second.
Alderwoman McClellan made the motion. Alderman Sanders second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Ms. McCullen?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donoghue?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
That brings us down to item 8A, the city treasurer's report for October 2024. Treasurer Conzo.
Thank you, Mayor. You've all received copies of this. First thing you'll notice, I've changed the format on it a little bit. I wasn't too happy with the way it looked before. I didn't think it was clear, so I kind of changed it to what I think better reflects the comparative fund balances. Same information that was in it before, but it's in a little bit different order. Also, you'll notice there at the bottom the tax receipts, sales tax, income tax, so forth that are received through the state of Illinois. And I would kind of get into that here a little bit later on the table, but you see what we've received there. Some of those are up and some of those are down, as you will soon see. Police pension fund, fire pension fund, somewhat of an improvement there. We don't have the consolidated funds are always a little behind in getting those statements to us. If we have the meeting, sometimes our meetings are later in the month and sometimes they're earlier. It just depends. They generally come out right around the middle of the month. We don't have this one yet. Usually by this point we see it, or we see it soon after. So I don't have the reports for October, but you see, of course, most of our pension money's invested in those funds, and you see where we did have some increases there for September over August in both the police pension fund that you see there first and the fire pension fund on the next page. We're still pretty far behind on where we ought to be in terms of pension contributions. We've got some things coming up where we'll talk about that in greater detail and some information that'll be forthcoming pertaining to that. If you look at the tax receipts, you'll see there municipal sales tax, we did have a slight increase in what we received from not only the previous month, but over year from last year. So we're a little bit ahead of where we were, actually quite a bit ahead of where we were last year. Same thing with, we had, last year at this point in time, we were at $2,203,149. So you see we have an increase there. Non-rural homes, non-home rule sales tax, we're about 14,000 over where we were last year. We were at 602,569. So that's not a huge increase, but it's better than going the other direction. And then the state income tax, we are, again, that's sometimes a matter of collection. So we're about 130,000 over where we were last year, but that can go up and down from year to month over month, from year to year. Replacement tax there, we're down considerably. We expected that based on the projections from the IML. So that really does cut into, the others offset it in part, but last year at this point, we had $935,526.36. This year, you see where we're at, 551,606.34. So that's a significant drop. It wasn't unexpected, but there really isn't anything that offsets that. I will say, however, though, the last 2 years were better than they usually are with that source of revenue. Motor fuel, almost exactly where we were, except that, now they've increased the tax. So as a result of that, people can afford to buy less gasoline. Ronald Reagan once said, if you want more of something, tax it less. Apparently, the people in charge of the state did not see it that way, and you see the result there. So I guess enough said about that. And then the ever-popular video gaming tax, you see we're a little ahead of where we were, and I'm glad to see that because we need that. 381,683. Last year we were at $372,800 at this point, so we're up a little bit. The thing, though, to remember with this, even though some of these revenue sources are up, if you look at the general fund balance of where we are, it's not, the comparable amount. We're at $4,401,000 that you see on the first page, and that includes the CD investments. If you look at where we were last year at this point in time, we were at $4,869,000. So that fund balance has gone in the wrong direction. It should be going up. The positive side, it's not much different than it was the year before that, and it is up much better than it was in 2021 or 2020. When we had some very bad times due to, ostensibly due to COVID and certainly due to the recession and inflation which occurred in those years. So or especially in 2021. So you'll see there, we're come back a little bit, but we're down, our balance is down from last year at this point in time. The reason for that, even though those revenue sources that we talked about are up, so are the cost of everything. So everything that we spend money on, just like at home, same thing, except on a larger scale here, everything costs more. And as long as that continues to be the case, and until that is under control, we're going to see that. And it's good that we have a healthy fund balance. It'd be better if it were greater fund balance than it is, and we should strive to improve that. And certainly not to let it diminish. But it's going to be very difficult until the inflation's under control to increase that. And we can talk more about that in greater detail another time, but that's kind of a summation of where we are at this point in time.
Alderman Bateman.
Mr. Treasurer, could you explain where the extra tax the city voted for on fuel goes to?
Oh, the city didn't vote for any extra
You mean the
tax.
city doesn't have any extra tax on fuel?
No.
My God, the people on Facebook keep saying that we voted for an extra tax and that's why our fuel is so high.
Well,
I keep trying to correct that, but I thought maybe I was wrong.
no, you are correct. There is a higher tax on fuel, but it did not come from the city or the county or the townships. It came from the state of Illinois, from the state legislature, which is when I was talking about motor fuel tax a while ago. You may recall I mentioned the increase in tax in the motor fuel tax that the governor and his pals in the legislature pushed through a few years ago. And the result of that is what you see is that people are paying a greater tax on fuel, but it isn't from us, and it isn't.
So there's no vote this council could take to lower the cost of fuel in Lincoln,
No,
other than state elections.
other than state elections. That's correct.
Thank you.
Statewide elections. Statewide elections.
Okay, any other questions for the treasurer? Okay, thank you, Mr. Gonzo. Okay, next.
One question, Alderman Bateman.
Okay, next item is 8B, City Clerk's Report for October 2024. Ms. Bateman.
In the month of October, we received $249,410.42 of sewer receipts, which within that, the both prisons paid, a total of $42,197.99.
Questions for Ms. Bateman? Okay, thank you, Ms. Bateman. Okay, next item up is 8C, Department Head Reports for October 2024. They are either on file already or will be on the website shortly. Okay, moving down to 9A, Approval of Health Insurance 2025 Renewal Plan for City Employees with the Health Alliance 5-tier rates. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Alderman Sanders made the motion. Alderwoman O'Donohue second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. O'Donoghue?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Abstain.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mrs. McCullen?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross?
Yes.
Okay, next item up is 9B, Approval of Health Insurance 2025 Renewal Plan for over 65 city retirees with the Health Alliance Medicare Supplement Plan in and the Health Alliance Advantage Plan.
Second.
Alderwoman O'Donohue made the motion. Alderman Sanders second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mrs. McCullen?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donoghue?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Next item is 9C, Approval of Lincolnwood Lift Station Control Upgrade to replace the control system by Britain Electronics and Automation Incorporated in an amount not to exceed $18,000.
Move to approve.
Second.
Alderman Sanders made the motion. Alderman Bateman second. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mr. Sanders?
Yes.
Mrs. McCullen?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Mrs. Ross?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donoghue?
Yes.
Okay, that brings us to announcements. I've got a couple that I'll share with the council, and then I'll open it up to the rest of the council. The first one is a couple heads ups to the council and the public. I received a notice from Comcast today, and because we have a franchise agreement with Comcast, I felt that it would be appropriate to share this with everybody. They have notified us that starting December 18th, 2024, prices for certain services and fees will be increasing. They are also making changes to the format of the bills. Beginning on December 10th, 2024, customer bills will show combined prices for video service and programming related fees. And there is a schedule on the back. I will share this with the council. I'll send everybody an electronic copy in case you get questions about it. But I wanted the public to be aware of that. Any questions on this particular item? Mr. Conzo?
Is there a change at all in the franchise fees of this, or is this just in the, this is in just the rates?
Just the rates.
Just the rates?
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it has TV services, internet, and then equipment, rental fees, and then discounts. So if, like, for instance, if you were getting a billing discount of $5 for auto pay, it went down to $2. So you're getting less of a discount. So increased prices, less of a discount. Shocker. So, okay. So I'll share that with everybody so that you're familiar with it. Second, today, I know in the community, the future of the Logan Correctional Center is something we get asked a lot about. I was asked to call into a meeting today with Senator Turner, Representative Howder, and some other members of their staff and Department of Corrections. I'd say the meeting maybe lasted about 20 to 30 minutes. It was really informational more than anything. I took some notes though. And the reason I'm telling you now is there will be a press release that comes out tomorrow. So you're kind of getting it ahead of time. But they are working on relocation of Stateville individuals to other locations. The process has been completed as of September 30th. There's still some people on that facility site. They're having to relocate some of them in a delayed fashion given their circumstances. And then Logan will continue to operate as long as fiscally responsible. There's currently 1,044 individuals at that location, and they will continue to provide repairs as necessary to the facility. So that's what was shared with us. And then the big question about the rebuild, they are starting with the first step. They're having to go out for bids for something called the Construction Manager and Owners Advisory Team. And probably wondering what that is. The responsibilities, the general, there's probably a lot more, but what they covered was they'll provide management services through the process of the rebuilding of the facilities. They will work on planning, goals, objectives, a project charter, stakeholder engagement, collaboration with IDOC on the budget and things of that nature. And one of the things that was mentioned was they will help identify a location for the rebuilds, both Logan and Stateville. So my question was, what does that mean? So they are, from a timeline perspective, CDB published a notice for the pre-qualifications for the new advisory team. They will submit the IDOC CDB will submit a request for proposal on November 19th for construction manager and owners advisory team. So that's the notification I told you about. Interested individuals that choose to bid on that, they will complete a pre-registration or qualification process that must be done by December 16th of this year. And then they will award a bid for the new team in the first half to mid 2025. So my question was, so from a timeline perspective, what does that mean as far as a rebuild? Well, they've got to get this team in place, and that's not going to happen until mid 2025. And then they're going to have a ramp up, and they're going to have to get everybody up to speed, and then they'll start the work. Everything's pretty fluid and up in the air, as most things are with the state. And so it could be late 2025, 2026 before a decision's made. There was also some questions about the needed repairs that they mentioned earlier about the facility and how they'll address those. For those who are concerned, we were told that those costs are not part of the $900 million that was budgeted. Those will be paid for separately out of other budget line items with the state. And then once that new team's in place, they will start the engagement of community relations. So they'll probably work more with the city of Lincoln, state representatives and senators as well. So that's all I know at this time. The public knows what I know now, and you do as well. And I'll continue to share what I can and what I get from them. Ms. Rolfs.
Do they address at all the employee situation and or the housing of the people that are there and the care of the people there?
So
Because when they had the big rally down at the junior high, they talked about the characteristics.
Yep.
I'll use that word. And that not every relocation facility has the means to take some of those people that are housed in Lincoln.
So
Do they talk about the actual people that are being involved, or is that just the buildings and that's it?
So they're working with the unions to handle whether it be layoffs or relocations in a manner consistent with the collective bargaining agreements. So IDOC is working with those individuals that are employed in IDOC. Regarding the people that are housed at the facility, nobody's leaving Logan at this time, is the message that we got. At least that's what I walked away from. Stateville, they have to move people out of Stateville, and it sounds like they've already completed almost all of that, with the exception of some people that are in a medical facility, and those people, they have to find specific locations based on needs for the individuals that they have to take care of. So that's what's going on with Logan and Stateville. Did that answer your question? Okay, perfect. Any other questions? I mean, I'm not IDOC, but I'll tell you what I know. Okay, that's all I have from announcements. Anybody else have an announcement they'd like to share? Okay, if there are no other announcements, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Alderman Bateman made the motion. Alderman Downs second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting is adjourned at 6:21 p.m.
The thing at Illinois American Water was very nice.